So that theoretically, according to Bacon's followers, is the blueprint that was supposed to become the United States of America.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the vision.
So just for kicks, I found his chart and I put it up here. And he's this is a C rating, by the way, which is, in terms of time, it's not great, but it's also not terrible. It's not an X or, a D rating. It's okay. So we're looking at him as a double Aquarius, and the sun being at 12 degrees and the ascendant at 10. And then Mercury behind the sun. Yeah, right behind the sun. It hadn't risen yet. And it's retrograde as well. But there's a lot going on with the sun and Mercury. Grand trine with Saturn and the sextile with Mars, and the trine with not the grand trine with Saturn, trine with Neptune, and then the sextile with Mars. We do have a T-square here with a true node, Pluto, Venus, squaring off against Mars and Saturn. Mars in Sagittarius, right at the midheaven. That's exploratory, high consciousness. In terms of travel, new lands, of course, would be highlighted. It's a very pioneering, not just pioneering in the sense of going to new places, but in Sagittarius, like pioneering philosophy, states of being, higher mind, things like that. But what's really interesting, I was reading about sexuality one time in the Zodiac, and one of the things that I read about was, and it's not necessarily a marker that is like totally consistent, but one of the things that I did read was that Mars in the 10th house can often be an indicator of a love for men, or right. So here we have Mars at the top of his chart. So that might actually confirm, his mother's suspicions a little bit.
Yeah, well, there are more than just his mom, but yeah, it seems to be pretty likely. And that was, the fuel for saying that he was Shakespeare, because the Shakespearean sonnets seem to be written by a bisexual. And
Mercury is really highlighted here in the chart. I mean, there's a lot going on with it, but it's behind the scenes.
Yeah, and that Mars is opposed to Saturn, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that Saturn is going to represent the authority. So when he had to make flip a switch with James, that's Saturn. He's dealing with Saturn in the 4th house, his home where he was born. But Mars is up there at the top of the chart to get away from it, right? He's still tethered to it. He still has to deal with Saturn, but he's figuring out how to move away from authority with Mars at the top of the chart. The Piscean configurations are quite interesting, because there's this true node in Pisces and Pluto's in Pisces. This is a very wide first house. Obviously, we're not dealing with equal houses here. So it does occupy his first house. And there are many different sides to Bacon, because he's got this intercepted first house. And it's a big intercepted first house. Starts off with 10 Aquarius. Then we have the entire sign of Pisces in the first house. And then it ends in Aries at the second house. So there is definitely a hidden nature to this guy, right? This is the nature. This is the kind of the not just the symbolism, but the mechanism of an intercepted house. And with this true node there in Pisces, it's a bit of a mystery in a lot of ways. So this perhaps is, can be representative of this person who could be so many different people, right? Because there's at least 3 people in the first house alone.
Yeah, or at least the object of many projections.
Yeah, exactly. So fascinating. And, Pisces is kind of a shapeshifter. And that's the nature of Pisces. It's water. Water can take on just about any form, right? You put it in a bottle, it becomes a bottle. You put it in a cup, it becomes a cup. The whole Bruce Lee thing. So water has the ability to shapeshift. So it's an interesting chart. And and it certainly is heavily loaded on that Aquarian piece. And if you were an astrologer back in the day and you realized or looked at Bacon's chart, you would know that this would be the chart of a visionary in a lot of ways. So he was way ahead of their time. And also, of course, he's born on the 22nd of January, which is really fascinating, because the 22nd of January, nowadays, we would look at the 22nd of January, and that would be, right around maybe 1 Aquarius. Here, the 22nd of January is 12 Aquarius. So we can see how much the signs have shifted, and how the orbits and the times have shifted and differentiated over time. And you can see this throughout all these old charts. So now we're at either 29 or we're at 0 or we're at 1, right around the 22nd because that's when the signs change, right? So anyway, it's an interesting chart, and also again from the masculine perspective, he's got Jupiter in Aries, right? So again, we're dealing with men, and we're also dealing with the moon, which is how we emote or what kind of an affection we have. Again, it's in the sign of Aries. He was not poor. This guy was never poor. He's got Jupiter in the second house. He would never do without. And he's kind of wired mystically with that Neptune in the third and that trine with Mercury. It's an interesting chart. He doesn't have a lot of Earth though. He's not very grounded. So this is a lot of fire, a lot of air. I mean, again, I'm just kind of breaking this down sort of extemporaneously, but certainly it's an interesting chart, and and I would say probably kind of a good rough time. So there you go, little Francis.
Yeah, it's a good fit.
Yeah, and it's helpful, insightful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really weird way that he dies is that apparently he's going somewhere. It was a winter, and there was a chicken that had died or something like that. And he wanted to see if he could preserve it by stuffing it with snow, and then he caught pneumonia.
Oh, really?
It's like, bizarre way to go.
Right, but did he really die?
So
if he really, that's a pretty obscure way to fake your death. It's better than putting 3 bullets in the back of your head.
So you have the bacon and the chicken and the hot dogs.
That sounds like John Madden's turducken.
Sounds like dinner.
Sounds like dinner.
Sounds like kebabs.
No, seriously. Do you know about the turducken?
About the what?
Turducken.
Yeah.
So John Madden, when they would play the Thanksgiving games, he always traveled by RV, so they'd have a barbecue and stuff.
He's a big football player.
This thing would be a chicken inside of a duck, inside of a turkey.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
It's a turducken.
And they would roast the whole Megillah.
Oh, it's like you must have seen Fellini's Satiricon.
I have not. I have not.
Oh my God.
Because
oh my God, it's a movie you have to see only once.
It's funny because this is the second time that movie came up today. I had a discussion with a client this morning. The same when I was talking about the.
Oh, then you must.
And she said that she saw Fellini's Satiricon, and it changed her life, and not in a good way.
Right. Well, there is a feast scene where they pull out a cow and they cut it open, and then there's a pig comes out, and baked.
She actually talks about this very same scene, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's the most famous. Yeah, it's this. If you're going to carry a scene from the movie, carry that one.
Leave it up to the Gemini to bring that up. I have to bring up a discussion I'd had already today. That's interesting.
That's very funny. Yeah. So.
Anyway, so you can actually buy a turducken now in stores.
So,
I bought one.
Well, I imagine the flavors would blend nicely.
Tofurkey in the middle of the whole thing.
Yeah, I bought one year, and it has like Cajun stuffing on the inside.
Well,
I have to say, it was pretty good. It's pretty good, but I think that they probably added a bunch of like funky stuff to it too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't go to John Madden when I'm looking for organic material.
Yeah, John Madden.
He's a big boy. I'm sure he's still a big boy.
Yeah, I'm sure he's still huge. Well, listen, this has been really great going down the rabbit hole with Dee and Kelly and Bacon. Real interesting set of characters. I think it might be interesting. I mean, if you wanted to kind of continue to sort of go in this arc, it might be kind of interesting to kind of move forward and, see where all this goes. Because, there's a connection between these guys and H.G. Wells and Aldous Huxley and Julian Huxley. And it might be interesting to see, the sort of the downstream
And we were thinking about utopian communities with Peter Lamborn Wilson has done tremendous amount of work and research on that.
Yeah.
And that all.
Yeah, New York State obviously was the big hotbed in the early 1800s. And, but yeah, we would like to talk about John Winthrop Jr., who actually tried to build New London, Connecticut as an alchemical settlement.
All right. Well, let's convene again in a month. And
other than that, we got to talk. Yeah, because other than that, we got to talk about Kavanaugh. So
Kavanaugh, man, I'm telling you, man, it got real there. That guy was pissed. He was really pissed. There
should be some real reaction.
I have to commend him because he wanted to jump across that desk and start strangling people.
I look at this stuff.
Tomorrow's the vote.
Yeah,
tomorrow's the vote. And then the Christine Blasey Ford thing. Again, we talked about this before we hit record, but she was just reduced to like a 13-year-old child.
She was like a child.
Yeah. It was bizarre,
like an MK Ultra child.
Oh, totally. I mean, she was like
deer in the headlights. When
triggered.
someone asked her a question, her eyes just glazed and she just looked like, who?
Right.
What?
And the whole thing was she's like talking about all these disorders and all these things that she has as a result of this, right? And she's a freaking professor of psychology and psychiatry. She's got a PhD. And I'm thinking, you've got to be kidding me. You've got all these disorders, and yet you are at a level where you can teach and disseminate theory and do all these things, but you're really, really screwed up. So what does this say about your profession? This is an indictment on psychology and psychiatry.
People count on people who
because it certainly hasn't helped you if that's the case,
right?
And it's
that's why they go into those professions because they're so deeply disturbed and troubled.
Psychiatry and psychology, without even getting, is just the biggest farce out there.
So the other thing that was really interesting about the hearing is that, do you know who Alyssa Milano is? Do you know who she is?
No, never heard of her.
She was one of the actresses on the TV show Charmed, which was about witches, young witches. So it was Rose McGowan, Alyssa Milano, and who's the other? Shannon Doherty. So Rose McGowan, of course, was one of the Me Tooers, right? So there's Alyssa Milano. She's sitting right on Kavanaugh's right shoulder. So she's there throughout the entire thing. So you're seeing Kavanaugh, you're seeing Milano on his shoulder, which is very, very bizarre.
How do you get that seat?
Exactly. How do you get positioned to be in that position? And so you would appreciate this, Steve, from a baseball perspective. So Alyssa Milano was dating a string of baseball players for a while, mostly Dodgers. And every player she would date, something would happen to them.
Oh, no.
Something bad would happen to them.
Yeah,
it was the curse of Alyssa Milano.
Yeah.
Right. Now she's got a whole line of cool women's wear on MLB.com for baseball.
Oh no.
There she was, just sitting there.
Oh God. Malocchio. Give him the Malocchio. The evil eye. Well, look, we'll see your Oakland in the wild card game.
Oh, I know. That's right. Yeah. So people, I'm sure, who haven't tuned out by now, Steve and I are big baseball fans, and
we'll have to have a gentleman's wager on this.
My team is the A's. They're going to go against each other. We might have to have one of these state-like bets.
Yeah, that's it. So
you got peaches in North Carolina, or how about bacon? I hear you have really good bacon.
Barbecue, we got great. Oh man, I can get you some great bacon.
Okay, so let's do a bacon. I got beef. You got bacon. Let's do a beef.
What's in Fredericksburg?
Oh, we got sausages, man. We got German sausages here.
Oh, German sausages.
We have Opa. Opa is German sausage.
Opa.
Well, we'll have to.
The Polish kielbasa.
We'll have to come for a visit.
Playing one game, just one game.
I know it sucks. It's stupid. I hate it.
Now the A's and their history with these games are terrible. So I should just go down to Opa's right now and just start buying new sausage.
Might as well get it delivered, put it on ice. Yeah. Well, because we're going to be playing at home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, this has been really great. Tell people where they can find all the wonderful books that are a part of your little publishing company there.
Right. and on logosophiabooks.com.